What's up, Achievers? Here are 6 tips to help you get started on your health and fitness journey.
There's a lot of information out there about what to do once you're in the gym, but there's not actually a lot of information about how to get there in the first place.
So having said that, here's tip number 1.
So when we first started training people way back in the day, we thought that everyone wanted to look like fitness models. We just assumed that that was their goal, was weight loss, and they wanted to get shredded and super lean. But what we realized actually over time is that people don't really want to do that. They just want to feel really good, and they just want to be able to play with their kids or go golfing on the weekend. They don't really need to look like fitness models.
Yeah, I took golf lessons a few years back, and it wasn't like I was trying to become Tiger Woods or anything. I just wanted to get good enough where I can play a few rounds of golf with my friends.
If you want to look like a fitness model, that's fine. If you want to get that lean, if you want to put in that much time, but really what that takes is making fitness your life. And what we realize is that most people don't want that. Most people want fitness to be a part of their lifestyle instead. So tip number 1 is to figure out where you're going, figure out what your goal actually is. So unless you're trying to compete in a bodybuilding competition, we really don't think you need to work out 6 or 7 times a week, 2 hours a day. What we do think though is that you should set a schedule and try to stick to it.
All right, so that leads us to tip number 2, which is to try to commit to 3 times a week. So when Lauren and I first started training, we tried to ease people in to their fitness journeys by having them come in once a week or twice a week. And as they build up momentum, we had them come in more. But as we gain more experience, what we realize is that when people first make it into the gym, that's when their motivation is typically the highest. So why not capitalize on that motivation and just set the stage right away to come in 3 times a week. And then from there, you can adjust as necessary.
Tip number 3 is to focus on your nutrition. So not all of your results are going to come from the gym. You also want to focus on what you're putting in your body, what you're eating. And nutrition is really complicated. It can be emotional. There's a lot to it. So I'm going to go over more details in a later episode. But for now, what I'll say is focus on quality over quantity. So instead of thinking about what you can't eat or how many calories you need to restrict, just focus on getting high quality foods into your diet. We want you to think about what you can add in rather than what you have to take away, because that's going to get you in the right mindset for continuing on.
All right, number 4 is to focus on movements rather than muscles. When a lot of people first start their fitness journeys, they start doing bodybuilding type of workouts where they really isolate one muscle group. So like a bicep curl or a leg extension. But it's not really the most maximal way to use your time. What we recommend instead is think about your body as in terms of whole movement patterns like squatting and lunging and pushing and pulling. And the more you think about these large compound types of movements, what you'll realize is that they're working your entire body all at once. So it makes for a much more efficient workout. So if you're hitting the gym 3 times a week, we really recommend these compound types of movements that focus on your entire body rather than just one individual body part, which makes for a much more efficient workout.
Tip number 5 is to surround yourself with positivity. So there's a reason that we are so focused on community at Achieve, and it's because it's so much easier to go at a fitness journey with other people around you cheering you on than to go at it alone. And a great example of this was we were just at the Boston Marathon a couple weeks ago, and we were watching these runners who were cramping up, and they were tired, and they were hungry and thirsty, and they wanted to stop. And even if they stopped for a second, the crowd would go wild. They would start to cheer for them, and they'd start running again. And it was so clear that it was the power of the community around them that was pushing them through it. And you've probably been there where you're running and you cramp up, or you're just not feeling very good, and you start to walk, and you're not motivated to keep going necessarily. But these people, with everyone cheering them on, they had to keep going. They had to get to the finish line. So we highly recommend to try to find a fitness buddy. It can be a spouse, a friend, someone you meet at the gym, or just finding a gym with a great community, because it's going to really help you in your journey.
So tip number 6 is consistency.
Inevitably, during your fitness journey, you're going to hit some roadblocks. There are going to be some times where you might not make it to the gym in a week, or things might come up. But what we recommend is to not let that spiral into you just quitting or giving up, and to just focus on consistency. And if you don't make it into the gym for a week, just get right back on the saddle on Monday and start your routine again. So allowing for some deviations from your schedule, but ultimately trying to stay as consistent as possible.
So if you look at fitness really short term, and if you look at it from week to week, what ends up happening is you get really bogged down if you miss a workout or 2. So what we think instead is to think of fitness as more of a long-term approach. So if you take it from a year-to-year standpoint, you could literally take 6 weeks off in a row and still be 90% compliant with your training for that year. So it helps just think of it from a long-term perspective as opposed to having short-term approaches to it. All right, so those are your 6 tips, and we hope that they help make fitness not seem quite as daunting for you.
If you like this video, please share it with a friend who you think might benefit from it, and let us know in the comments if you would like more videos just like this.